Hi, this is Mike Brown, owner of Death Wish Coffee Company. Welcome to Fueled by Deathcast.
I love Jeff, but sweet and hot. Whoop, Mr. Motorama coffee spot.
Death Wish Coffee presents Fueled by Deathcast, the world's strongest podcast. With your hosts, the incredible Jeff and the amazing D-Man.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Fueled by Deathcast. Did you like that, D-Man? I didn't assume anything.
Yeah, no, that was great.
It is an episode.
No, that's a great job, Jeff.
All right, I did a good job.
No, you did. I said great. Did you hear what I said to you?
I did a great job.
You did a horrible job at listening to me.
But I did a great job saying that. That's good. And speaking of episodes, this is episode 104, and we are really excited. As always, I am the incredible Jeff.
And I am the amazing D-Man, and I feel like I'm missing a mediocre Ming today.
Yes, I know. We just, over the weekend, did the Walker Stalker convention in New Jersey, had a ton of fun, met up with friend of the show and our good friend Ming Chen from AMC's Comic Book Men, and we even dragged him on stage to help us moderate a couple panels. We did 5 panels in 2 days, all characters from and actors and actresses from The Walking Dead, except for our good friend Rob Pryor.
Oh, yeah.
Who is just the most incredible artist in the world.
Seriously, if you haven't seen his artwork, just put in your Google Rob Pryor, and you will find a pile of amazing. Trust me.
Yeah, but we got some really fun panels. I think my most favorite was the first one we did with Ross Marquand, who plays Aaron on The Walking Dead, and Tom Payne, who plays Jesus. Now, I'm not going to spoil anything on our show, so fans of our show who are fans of The Walking Dead, if you're not already caught up, we did talk about a lot of spoilers on stage with those guys, but it was really fun.
There's no way to not to. You can't not cover those subjects.
If you're at a Walking Dead convention and you're sitting in a panel with actors and actresses of The Walking Dead, you better be caught up, or you are just you're totally in the wrong area.
Yeah. It's just the way it is. I think that goes with any panel. If you're at a panel for a movie that you haven't seen yet, and they're about to talk about things that happened in the movie, like it's already released,
right?
You're gonna get spoilers. It's just the way it is. I don't think anybody complained though.
No, not at all. And we're gonna be putting up some pictures and some stuff from all the fun we had over the weekend. And the best way to do that is to follow us on social media. And normally I would say, obviously, go follow us personally on social media. It's very easy. I am at Jeff Wish Coffee.
And I am at Death Wish Dustin.
But we have actual Fueled by Deathcast social media now. It's been a long time coming, and we rolled it all out of the gate just last week. And we'd love it for you guys. If you guys are listening or watching, go on over and follow us. We are at Fueled by Deathcast on Instagram and also on Facebook. There's a Fueled by Deathcast page at Fueled by Deathcast. And unfortunately, the name of the show is a little bit too long for a Twitter handle, so we are at Fueled_by_death on Twitter. And I'll put, obviously, all that in this show. And please give us a follow, because we're going to not only be talking about stuff from the current episodes, stuff from past episodes, but we're going to try and give you guys even more content behind the scenes, get you more interacting with, some upcoming guests, and we can get questions from, our listenership and stuff like that. It's going to be a lot of fun. So definitely go follow us across all social media. And speaking of social media, please take a minute of your day and go follow at Real Christian Slater on social media.
This message has been brought to you by the Church of Christian Slater.
Which we still have yet to file the paperwork for, but it's going to happen. We love Christian Slater. We were actually going around the convention this past weekend and asking everybody, because a lot of the people that work at these conventions work other different types of conventions, and especially the celebrity handlers and stuff, work with many different celebrities. So we just asked everybody, do you know Christian Slater?
Do you know a Christian Slater I can find somewhere? We're gonna get him one of these days.
No avail, but
we're gonna get him.
I did. Oh my God, I forgot to tell you this, Dustin. I found this out. The show that our good friend, by the way, Brock Powell,
BrockPox.com,
who's the voice actor on this show and 1,000 voices out there in the world. One of the shows he works on, because he does many voices on it, is Milo Murphy's Law.
Right.
Guess who else does voices on that show?
Tom Payne.
Christian Slater.
Really?
Yeah.
So has he been in the same room as him?
I don't know. I have yet to get a hold of Brock, but I'm going to be. So, Brock, if
we're
you're
doing it
listening,
right now, Brock.
Yeah.
You are listening. I know you're listening. You're an avid listener to
get us. Bring me Christian Slater.
Bring me the head of Christian Slater.
Oh my gosh, yeah, but we love Brock. We love Brock. We love Christian Slater. And one final time, I just want to thank everybody from the Walker Stalker Convention. I know for fans of this show, Fueled by Deathcast, you can go back and see we've done some spectaculars. We did a Walker Stalker Nashville spectacular. We did a Walker Stalker New Jersey last year recap show. And we've said it so many times on this show. We gush about it so much. The people who run this convention are the best of the best. This is the best pop culture convention you can possibly go to. And if you ever get a chance to either go to the Walker Stalker Convention or the Heroes and Villains Convention, which is run by the same parent companies, please go check them out. You won't be disappointed
They
at
do
all.
such a good job that, everybody who works for them, the handlers and the volunteers, everybody's stoked to be there. And also the celebrities are stoked to be there. And then you show up and everybody's stoked to be there already. And you just showed up and you're already stoked to be there.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
It's the shit rolls downhill, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's no shit to be had. So everybody's
really
stoked on the hill, know?
It's so much fun. So I'm already missing our con family, and I can't wait to see him again.
Secret code unlocked. Discount of death.
This week until Wednesday, December 19th. I can't believe we're this far in the year.
Craziness.
Or this far in the month. We're at the end of the year.
End of the year.
We're facing it. It's going to turn over. We're going to have to come up with some New Year's resolutions. And some of those resolutions should be, I need a better hat. I need a new hat.
Yeah.
And we're going to give you a discount right now on our New Era hat. And the discount code this week is discontinued. Jeff, spell it.
This is a big one. DISCONTIUED. Discontinued.
So all you have to do is go over to deathwishcoffee.com, pop in this discount code, and that will nail you 15% off of the New Era hats.
Both styles are this red brim style is our 2018 exclusive New Era hat. When these are gone, these are gone. And then also the tried and true, the one we love, the OG black with the logo on it. That one will remain throughout next year as well. 15% off all week long. Like you said, we're getting to that Christmas season. Just want to let you guys know that if you are thinking about ordering these as a Christmas present, Friday, December 14th is the final day that you're guaranteed to get it shipped by Christmas. So,
well, shit, that's tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Damn.
So I mean, you definitely want to jump on it by then. But if you're not and you just want to get one for the new year, like you said, you got all week long to use that code, discontinued.
Jeff, tell us why it's discontinued.
It's discontinued because we have returning to the show producer Brian Volk-Weiss, and we are so excited to talk to him. In fact, when we went out on our crazy adventure to Los Angeles, he invited us into his offices, and we sat down and talked with him about everything he does, which we've had him on the show before to talk about that incredible show we love on Netflix, The Toys That Made Us. And we started talking about that and about the upcoming season that we're hopefully going to see in the beginning of this year. He said quarter 1, so like let's say February, March. They haven't announced a date on that third season of that show, but I love that show so much. And while we were talking to him, we talked to him about that. He also runs Comedy Dynamics, which produces a ton of comedy specials for Netflix and Comedy Central and that kind of stuff. We talked about that. And we also were talking about how he had some projects up in the works that he really couldn't announce while we were talking to him in person. Well, one of those is a brand new show premiering this Sunday, December 16th at 9:30 p.m. on the CW network called Discontinued. And it's in the same vein as The Toys That Made Us. It's that fun idea of nostalgia, but it's all about discontinued products, discontinued businesses, discontinued toys and games, that kind of stuff. I'm very, very excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, I'm interested to learn. It sounds like there's a lot to learn from this epic show that we're about to see. And I'm really, and it sounds like it's portrayed in an extremely fun way.
Yes.
So I'm super excited to see this. So Sunday, what time did you say?
9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the CW network. And honestly, it's one of those things where CW has greenlit this as a pilot, and they're going to base making more episodes on all of us tuning in. So I implore all of you watching and listening out there, set your reminders, set your clocks for Sunday, December 16th at 9:30 on the CW network. Tune into this show. I know it's going to be a fun time.
Yeah.
But before that, we've got our interview with Brian right here, and we had such a good conversation with him. I love talking with him. That's why
Brian's a really cool guy, and it's really easy to just sit down and have a real conversation with this dude who's done some really legendary things, the most legendary things that nobody ever talks about, especially in the comedy world.
Exactly. And it was so cool to finally meet him in person and talk face to face. So mugs up this week for this week's Death guest, Brian Volk-Weiss.
Enjoy.
The Fueled by Death guest.
I just got to open up by thanking you to take time to meet with us.
Thank
in person,
you guys are awesome.
It was so much fun to have you on the show last season.
Thank you.
When we talked to you the last time, the Toys That Made Us had just premiered. I think it just premiered that week, the first season.
Yeah, it was like right there.
And now we are all waiting with bated breath for season 3, which is really exciting. Let's talk a little bit about what has it been like since from now that it's like the snowball. Like, what's it been like? How's the reception been of this show?
I mean, I will say something to you. You're gonna laugh. You're gonna think I'm joking. And it's funny, like you have every right to laugh. Like everyone always laughs when I say this, but I don't normally give it this preface. I'm not joking. Like I'm serious. I've made a lot of crap, like really crappy stuff. Never on purpose, but
Right,
you never know how things are gonna turn out.
Yeah.
And for a variety of reasons, I have made stuff that has not been well received by our fellow Americans. So. Toys, I mean, the scorecard is literally like one bad review and over 300 amazing reviews.
Wow, that's
so
awesome.
Maybe part of the reason I preface it like that is just to not seem like an egomaniac, like lunatic. But I've never seen anything like it. I've seen the opposite of it many times. Like I have all my bad reviews framed in my office. Can I tell you my favorite one?
Yeah,
sure, please.
This is my favorite. This is my. I mean, I literally. I just looked at this the other day. I did this amazing movie. It won every Oscar they have a category for, called Good Luck Chuck. I don't know if you saw this.
Tons of Oscars.
Classic film.
All the Oscars.
With Dane Cook, Jessica Alba, it's one of the Penguins. That's what it's always reminded of. All Fs, all 1 stars, half. I mean, horrible. Truly, one of the only times in my entire. And I had just made Employee of the Month, which again was not beloved, but was getting 3 stars and C minuses. But Good Luck Chuck, all Fs and 1 stars out of 10, like horrible. 20 years I've been doing this. One of the only times, literally couldn't get out of bed, like. Depressed.
Oh, no.
The movie came out, I think, in July or August, right? So it's just vicious, just awful.
Oh.
Cut to, it's now December.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I'm past it. Things are moving on. Life is safe. And you know, in December, all the magazines and everything, they start doing top 10.
Yes.
Top 10 books.
Yes.
Top 10 outfits, top 10 foods.
Albums, everything.
So they had top 10 movies. And I got very nervous. And I looked. We didn't make the bottom 10. Because they always do top 10 and bottom 10.
Right.
And I didn't make the bottom. Good Luck Chuck wasn't on. I was like, whew. So I thought I was safe. Then they had the foods list. There was the top 10 foods. And they didn't even have 10 bad foods. They only had 3 bad foods. One of the bad foods was that year. Oreo had made an ice cream pizza.
Yep.
And it was like a dessert kind of thing. And it was like, I don't know exactly what it was.
Yeah.
But the way they described it was, this is the Good Luck Chuck of ice cream pizzas. And I literally, I remember exactly where I was when I read it, and it was literally like, it was like a cruise missile out of nowhere. Yeah. So anyway, I just love telling the story because it just cracks me up. Whoever wrote that was a genius. I mean, what a brilliant review.
You have a job.
That being said, back to your question, I've never seen anything like this. I mean, I've absolutely never. Everyone loves it. I
think we're all collectors at heart. I think that's the even if you don't have an entire room devoted to your favorite fandom, which I do, but I mean, like, if you don't have that, you want it. You know, like, you envy those that do, and I think that this show is not only a celebration of the collector ideal, but I'll tell you, I love the show because of what it's a wealth of knowledge. You learn so much. I was talking with Dustin on the way up here actually about the Transformers episode from season 2,
the robotic man.
Like how the everything like changed hands and came back, and Transformers was really this transformative toy,
sure.
You know, and like never in a million years did I ever know any of that, and I'm learning that from this show, and I think that makes it not only fun to watch but important to watch. I think that's really cool.
Well, I have always been a huge Transformers fan.
Yeah.
I was not a He-Man fan, so He-Man was all very interesting to me.
Yeah.
Like My Little Pony we're doing now, like it's so interesting.
Yeah.
But Transformers, a huge part of my childhood, other than maybe Star Wars and maybe G.I. Joe.
Right.
I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
Like, we were there in Japan filming, being like, what? Like, the guy that you see in the episode, maybe I talked about this last time or not, I don't know.
No, we didn't talk about season 2.
Okay.
So, yeah.
The guy in the episode who's got and I feel horrible, I don't remember his name, but he's got the photo album with the Polaroids.
Right, yes.
That guy had come the day before to see another interview. A friend of his was being interviewed. These guys, like, they don't get it over there about how we feel about it. Wow. So they all kind of, in their own Japanese, whatever, I don't know if they have punked in Japan or not, but they all kind of thought they were being punked. Like, Netflix is doing a show of, they want to talk to me. Like, a lot of those guys had never been interviewed before.
Yeah.
So the guy with the Polaroids had come the day before, not because he was worried about getting scammed. He saw how real it was, and everything was serious, and it really was Netflix and everything. So he went home, and I don't know if it was an attic or a basement. He literally spent almost the entire night looking for that photo album. Shows up the next day with it. He literally was holding it. We were doing the interview for hours.
Wow.
And then finally it was like, I brought some pictures. And we're like, oh, really? Oh, we'd love to see them.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally, like, had chill. I mean, I, like, teared up. Like, it was crazy.
That photo album, I mean, should be in a museum.
Yeah.
Like, it's, like, the pictures he had were...
So much stuff we saw everywhere should be in a museum.
Incredible.
Like, yeah. It's crazy.
Wow.
It's not in a museum.
Now, are you on these trips as they're filming all this stuff too, and being able to see all this? So as a fan, you're geeking out as well. Like,
geeking out doesn't even do it justice. Like, that's
awesome.
not even like an accurate or strong enough expression. It's like you're there with the Indiana Jones with the staff, with the light going through the thing. When we went to Takara, similar thing where Takara was very generous and let us they have like a little mini studio. Yeah. And we were doing interviews there, and then we weren't even doing the Takara stuff for like 2 days. So they saw what we were doing. They saw what we cared about. Hasbro had been like, work with them. So
right.
One day, our day of shooting, we'd already been there 2 days, so we were very, very, very familiar with the office. Yeah. We come in the third day, which is the day we're shooting their stuff and interviewing their staff. These very Japanese offices are really interesting. Like, they're like no support pillars in the like all the load lifting, bearing lifting things, whatever they're called. I guess they're in the corners of the building. So you just see these endless. It's like you could stand on one side of the building and see the other wall.
Oh, wow.
And then there'll be dozens and dozens and dozens of people all in a giant room the size of the floor.
Wow.
So we're walking through that for 2 days. So next day we come in. I mean, this is not probably the right term to use, but like when you go to Home Depot and they have those giant plastic boxes for you to put like firewood in or something, or leaves, I don't know. The whole floor was like covered with them, stacked up. And we're like, oh, what's going on? And they're like, oh, we went into archives and brought up some of our stuff. We don't even know what's in there.
Wow.
And the wooden heads that we showed, that transforming VHS tape and everything.
Yeah.
Like, that's what was in there. Like,
wow.
And like almost nobody there knew what it was. They just knew it was like connected to G1 Takara stuff. And we went to their basement and they let us, they had a room in the basement that it was just like a storage room for like papers and stuff. But the reason we needed it, because there were no windows, and we shot all of our light box stuff down there. That's like the white light coming up thing where we put it on. Mm-hmm. It was all of them, like all the people we interviewed, including, and I literally should have a cheat sheet with everybody's names, but the gentleman who was like basically created the guy with the umbrella in the rain.
Yep.
He's like helping me like set the robots down to be like it was that, and I mean this as a compliment. Like this term sometimes has a negative connotation. It was like really mom and pop. Yeah. Like here's one of the grandfather of Transformers, literally helping me like unwrap these things. They were in like dirty paper not dirty, but like again to your point. Yeah. Like here's how I look at it. What's that?
Weathered.
Yeah.
Well, it was like, to your point, like, it's like, this stuff, like, should have been in a museum.
Yeah.
This stuff at auction.
Yeah.
Would have gone for $50,000 to $250,000. And it's like in like a greasy kind of like paper towel. You know, I've told the story a few times, you know, all the handwritten character sheets we have for the Transformers bios.
So cool.
He didn't even have them in a bag. He literally took a 3-hour train just holding them. Like no folder, no nothing. And I guarantee you that would have gone for $500,000 to $1 million, all of them.
Of course.
It was Optimus Prime's bio, Megatron's bio, Starscream's bio. Yeah.
Wow.
So we literally found like a folder and a bag for him to take it back. And it also says a lot about these guys too. Like they're so humble.
Yeah.
Like Larry Hama was like he doesn't even completely understand what he did. Yeah.
And I think again, back to my point of this show's important because, you know, as a child of the 80s, like I grew up with, you know, this inherent need for action figures and toys of the things I loved, and was ridiculed for a lot of that stuff, you know, because I mean some of it wasn't cool to collect or whatever. And now with this geek resurgence that we live in, and everything from our childhoods is cool, you know, the story, the origin, the history of that is like nobody knows it. Like you said, even the people in it have boxes of stuff they don't even know what it is, and you are uncovering that. You are Indiana Jones.
Well, like, certainly don't look like it. But there was definitely that vibe of going to people's homes, interviewing them in their homes.
Yeah.
And it was really crazy, especially the first season. You know, having done it for the first time, having never done it before, just being like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, routinely.
Yeah. Have you gotten more skilled at digging up the weird nuggets of knowledge now that you've done it a couple times?
That's a great question. It's not a matter of getting more skilled at digging up the nuggets.
Yeah.
The thing which we learned in the first season is you have to be skilled at finding the important and relevant nuggets to tell the story that people enjoy, but also you have to walk this very thin line where, you know, Star Wars is kind of easy. It's a 4-quadrant film.
Right.
Yeah.
He-Man is not. Hello Kitty is not. Right. Like Barbie is sort of 3 quadrants. But so you really have to get these nuggets that are perfect for, even if you're not a fan of a certain toy line, you're still going to enjoy the show.
Right.
One of my favorite things I always hear, and I always say the same thing to when people can be like, I watched that He-Man episode 80 times. And I'm like, did you watch Barbie? You want a season 4? Watch Barbie.
Yeah.
You want a season 4? Watch Hello Kitty.
Yeah.
Because people...
I can't even begin to explain Hello Kitty. Like, because obviously I knew nothing going into that episode. I've watched that 3 times.
Really?
Just because it's so...
Then watch He-Man.
I've watched them all. Honest to God, I've watched both seasons a couple times each. But Hello Kitty, I've shown people because, like, you know, a bunch of my guy friends, like, we knew nothing about, you know, Hello Kitty. And that episode is so exciting and interesting because I had basic thing. I had no idea that there were 400 characters, you know, created by this company. I thought Hello Kitty was its own thing, and it was like, we're marketing this, you know? Like, I had no idea about that.
I didn't know they didn't interact with each other, the characters. I remember we had our first meeting at Sanrio, and then I'm like, wait a minute. They're not in the same... They're like, no, they're all in their own world. And I'm like, well, that's like Han Solo can't talk to Luke,
right?
Can't talk to Leia. Weird. Remind me, just for fun, if you've watched it 3 times when we're done to show you something. Just be like, you told me to remind you about Hello Kitty.
Done. I will.
Funny thing to show you.
And then the response from, you know, just, I think, I don't know, the social media verse at large, I think has been great. I've seen people post about this show that I follow, like celebrities and stuff.
The Rock.
The Rock. When The Rock posted about it, I was like, I knew he was a nerd, but he started posting about it. I was like, he's even a bigger nerd than I thought. Like,
we're doing a show with him now.
Oh, really?
Because of that. Yeah.
Is it something you can talk about?
No.
Okay.
Well, when that thing's off, yes.
Okay.
But yeah, it all started with him loving the show.
Wow. Yeah. Wow, that's so cool. Well, I can say that Dustin and myself are both fighting over our new favorite episode for season 3. I know mine is most likely going to be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because I've been when we had you on first, you were talking about how you really wanted to be able to do one of those. But I know you are very excited about the Power Rangers episode.
I mean, I did collect Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. I remember the Donatello that you had to wind up and it swam.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I was really sad when that broke when I was a kid. You know, the wind up thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
But Power Rangers, man, I remember saving up lawn mowing money to get the big Power Ranger.
Big one.
The big one. The first big one. It was $45.
Oh,
I remember at Toys R Us. And yeah, no doubt. That'll be my favorite episode.
I'm excited.
It is similar to He-Man. I don't know anything about Power Rangers.
Yeah.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's because Transformers, as wacky as it started off, Hasbro knew what they were doing, and Hasbro took it and put it on train. There was no Hasbro for Power Rangers. So Power Rangers was just this crazy thing in Japan, to my American eyes.
Yeah. Right.
And then, you know, some guy did a deal, Saban.
Yep,
and
Saban,
brought it. Like, the whole thing is... one of the people I've met who I'm, like, obsessed with is this... the executive. I've never heard of her. I've never met anyone who's heard of her. Her name is Margaret LaRoche.
Okay.
And she was the exec at Fox that greenlit Power Rangers... Batman the Animated Series, X-Men. Have you ever heard of her?
No.
Yeah.
But
I've watched all those shows.
For doing that.
I mean, she shaped my childhood.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do something with her to blow her. I mean, she should be doing conventions. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
No one knows who she is. But she told this story. Her boss, and this cliched story exists fairly often in our business, where her boss was like, I'm going to let you do this, but if it bombs... you're fired.
Right.
That story we've all heard.
Oh, totally.
The story she told that I love that I never heard before. Are you familiar with this thing called upfronts? Do you know what that is?
No.
So in the TV business, this has been going on 30, 40 years, maybe more. These things called upfronts.
Okay.
And that's where a network brings their new shows to the advertisers. And they make little trailers or they have a whole episode. And they're like, here's what we're doing.
Right.
And then they generate, like, you can read about, like, CBS at this year's upfronts raised $7.9 billion. Like, that's how the whole business works.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Margaret told this story where she was like, before, like literally the morning of the upfronts, the head of ad sales, whose entire job is to make money, literally came in and was like, please take that robot thing out of our reel. Please, we cannot show. I know these people. I have to travel the whole year and get money out of all these people. And by the end of it was literally in tears, like crying, like you're going to ruin the entire upfront for Fox if you have that stupid robot thing in there. and it became what it became.
Wow.
But she kept it in there.
She kept it in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
I watched that show incessantly as a kid.
Yeah, maybe I'm 42.
Yeah.
So maybe I just
It was even like, for me,
aged out.
It was a little bit. I was aged out. I'm 37.
I was
and I
like
was aged out
just on
a
that
little,
cusp where it was that first season, and I even felt bad watching it. Like, oh, this is some kid shit. But I still watch it because I love martial arts, and well, it just there was nothing like it on TV at the time.
You're definitely in the majority.
Yeah,
believe me.
I'm only slightly ashamed.
That's going to be really exciting, and it's that and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and wrestling and
My Little Pony.
My Little Pony,
which is
that's
a
right.
great story.
That and again, I'm very excited about that because I know nothing about My Little Pony other than they're ponies that talk and do things. And
It's it's funny, like. I never owned a He-Man figure before the show, and now I have.
Now how many do you have?
I think I have 3, and of course, just on general principle, I had to get Battle Cat.
Of course,
that's probably the funniest moment of the first 2 seasons.
Yes.
But I haven't gone crazy with He-Man.
Mm-hmm.
I have gone crazy with Gudetama. That's a Hello Kitty character.
Yeah.
I've become literally obsessed with it.
That's
It's the
so
lazy
cool.
egg guy. Like,
Yep.
I have a whole shelf in my collection now of just Gudetama.
That's so amazing.
And I now have more, and I'm not a brony. I am not a brony. but I bought more My Little Ponies than I have He-Man because I've become really into the history of it. It's a really interesting story where basically Hasbro could not get a girls' toy going. Like, we have a whole montage of all these girls' toys failures in the 70s, like just
I can't wait.
Just awful disaster.
I can't wait.
Like trying to do your own makeup, but they were like chemistry kits, and people were getting like horrible.
Oh no!
That sounds like an eyesore.
My Little Pony was literally like, girls like Barbie dolls.
And horses.
They like hair. They like horses. Why don't we just glue them together? And that's basically how it happened. It's more complicated than that and nuanced, but it really it's a really great story.
I can't wait.
Yeah,
oh.
yeah. And like I said, I can already feel like I'm telling you, no offense, man. I've still not bought a Power Ranger.
You're gonna make me dig mine up.
I don't know if I will.
Yeah.
There's this one weird pyramid dude who we focus on a bit. He's kind of the USS flag of.
It starts with a G. I can't remember.
I couldn't even tell you, but it's a great story. Like the story is, I mean, wonderful.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's like a whole giant like train track system without tracks.
Yeah.
That's what the story's like. Yeah.
Do you feel some sort of responsibility at this point to bring all this information to light with all toys possible, or?
I mean, I feel there are 20 great stories, including the 8 that have aired and the 4 we're making. So there's 8 more great stories.
You already know what they are.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's my opinion. I could be wrong.
Right.
You know, everybody might have their own 20 best. And there's 8 I can make a bulletproof argument and say these need to be told for blah 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 blah. There's no denying it. They're popular.
Right.
But then there's about another 4 to 8 that are, I think, would work. You know, we probably talked about this. Like, I really want to do the toys that should have not been made episode.
I like that.
So
I love that idea.
You know, the poster child for that episode, my inspiration for that episode is the Dune toys that RJL made.
Yeah.
I mean, just spectacular. Bet the farm.
Yeah.
Like, lose the farm, by the way.
Did nothing, yeah.
Yeah, but they made, like, I think 6 vehicles.
Oh, my
God.
God.
12 figures.
Yeah.
I got, one of the things the show has done for me, well, we'll see how the value goes up or down. But if it goes up, this was great. If it goes down, not great. But I've gotten a lot more into prototyping.
Oh, cool.
Not a lot more. That's not true. I was never into it before, and now I'm in it.
0 to a lot more,
yes. So I got a prototype of a Dune, RJL Dune, that never went into production.
Oh, my gosh.
So that's the dangerous part about making a show like this.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, we are so excited for more seasons, more episodes of this. And yeah, it's just awesome. And we, like I said, when we had you on in the first season, we talked a lot about the inception of this show, and we talked about that. The one thing we didn't get to talk to you about is the other side of what you do, which I think is so interesting. Everything you get to do with comedy dynamics, and I really want to know, like, do you think? I want to start it like this. Do you think that with streaming service and the myriad of ways we can consume entertainment now, do you think we're coming back to a comedy boom like we used to have in the 80s and 90s?
Can I tell you a transitionary story?
Sure.
From toys to comedy?
Exactly, yeah.
This is 2 weeks ago.
Oh, my gosh.
In this room, Marty Abrams is here.
Okay.
And Marty and I, we're talking for about an hour 15. And, he's doing this whole new thing with Target.
Yep.
Trying to, and it's working. From what I can tell, it's a big success. So we're talking, and he's like, he saw Sam Kinison over there, and he's like, we really want to do a new Mego figure of Sam Kinison. And I'm like, oh, well, I know the guy who runs the company. Beep, beep, beep. I introduced him on my phone. He's like, well, anyone? I'm like, well, who? And he's like, well, Johnny Carson. I go, I know the guy that owns Johnny's estate. I know Johnny's nephew. And then he goes, oh, God, this made me laugh. He goes, oh, so you used to be in comedy? And I'm like, well,
used to.
That's one way. That's one way of looking at it. Some would say I'm still in it.
Yeah, I was just saying.
No, but from his point of view, he
Right.
doesn't know who I am. All
Right,
he knows
right.
is the toys thing.
Yeah.
So it just cracked me up that to some of the toys community, they're always like, dude, are you the same guy who did Ali Wong? I'm like, yeah.
It's a weird relation.
It's completely weird, but a lot of people, especially when the show first came out, were so shocked with how much humor and comedy there was in toys that made us. That's why. The people I hired, we were all comedy people. But to answer your question directly, I just want to tell you that Marty's story.
It's great.
That's great.
And what was the question?
Do you
Sorry,
think
I'm
we're
rambling.
coming back to a comedy boom?
I don't think we're coming back to a comedy boom. I think that the whole situation has changed. And I'll give you a great example of this.
All right.
And this also, swear to God, just happened 2 weeks ago. Not in this room. But this happened 2 weeks ago. I was at a party with the friends of like all the kids. So my kids are in a school. I don't go to these very often. That's why it's kind of hard for me to describe. But we're at a house, and it's all parents of the children. There's no children, though. All the children are in bed.
Right.
And there were there was a parent, husband and wife couple that I've known for about 3 years now. And I hope if you see this, you're not offended. I mean, this is a compliment. But they're very sophisticated, very... no, I'm not trying to imply I'm not upper class, but or upper crust. But to me, these are very upper crust, prim and proper, drive great car, like very fancy, fancy people. And we're sitting there at the party. It's like 1 or 2 in the morning, and one of them's like, blah 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 blah, Tig Notaro, blah blah. And I'm like, you know Tig Notaro? She's like, yeah, I love Tig Notaro. I go, oh, well, who else is? She's like, Maria Bamford. Like, she starts going to. And I'm like, let me ask you something. How long have you been into stand-up comedy? And they're like, about a year and a half. And that's why this is not like another boom or...
Interesting.
Everything has changed. It's like, and the way I look at it is, like, 50 years ago or so, like, horror movies were a part of drama.
Yeah.
And then one day there was like enough horror movies. Maybe it was The Shining. I don't know what it was. But some horror movie finally had the newspapers and everybody and the public being like, no, horror films are their own thing.
Their own thing, right.
And that is what's happened with stand-up. So for 50 years or so, going back to Carlin and Lenny Bruce and everybody, stand-up was this it was kind of like the farm team fringe of comedy. In that, like, when I was growing up, I kind of understood that Roseanne did this speaking thing. Like, when she wasn't doing Roseanne, or Bill Cosby had, like, done album. Like, but it didn't mean anything to me. Like, I never went to stand-up as a kid. I never watched stand-up as a kid.
Yeah.
Like, we only had one album, which was Cosby.
Yeah.
Right.
So now, and the example I always give, and I mean, I don't have this as like a fact, but I guarantee you this is an accurate example of what's happened. My high school, when I was little, let's say it held 1,000 kids.
Okay.
So I'm sitting there in like 1992, 1993, and of the 1,000 kids in there, maybe one or two were talking about stand-up comedy.
Right.
My high school is still around. I have to assume still holds about 1,000 people.
Right.
So it's a good control, you know, apples to
Yeah.
apples.
Yeah.
Guarantee you, every day, on a regular day, 10 to 20 people of the 1,000 are talking about stand-up comedy.
Right.
But on the day or the Monday after, a Chris Rock special comes out, or a Tom Segura special, or the new Chappelle.
Yeah.
Guarantee you, 50 to 150, maybe 200 of those 1,000 people at some point are talking about stand-up comedy. And that's never happened before.
Yeah.
It's not a boom. And what's led to it is it's a whole bunch of stuff all coming together at the same time. It's social media. It's YouTube.
Yeah.
And then as all that was starting to work, Netflix is like,
Yeah.
you know how like some companies used to make like 3 to 5 of these a year? We're going to make 52 a year.
Yeah.
And they're all great.
Yeah.
Like, there's no degradation in quality. They're all great artists, people you haven't heard of. And then the huge people, the
Yeah.
Seinfelds and whatnot.
Yeah.
So what I think happened, and I always say this, but just to be clear, this is my opinion. I could be wrong with everything I'm saying. But what essentially happened was when I was in high school or college even, like the barrier to entry for stand-up comedy on Comedy Central or HBO or Showtime or whatever was an hour of your time.
Yep.
Yeah.
So are you going to watch Friends? Are you going to go out and play football? Are you going to go to the bars? Or are you going to see someone you've never heard of in your life and give them an hour?
Right.
Now, basically what happened is because of YouTube and because of Facebook, because of YouTube and because of Facebook, yeah, those are the two. Now, and this is how it's really happening, your best friend who you've known for 30 years is like, dude, check this out. All my friends on Facebook, Tom Segura.
Yeah.
4.5 minutes.
Yep.
So I don't know who this guy is, but
Yeah.
I know you, and I
Yeah.
like you, and I
Yeah.
trust you. So I'm going to give him 4.5 minutes. Now I like it. Now I go to YouTube, I watch 7 or 8 more clips, and I'm like, I love Tom Segura.
Yeah.
Then Netflix puts out another Tom Segura special. Then you see somewhere Tom Segura is coming here north of Albany. Where do
Yep.
you live again?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
no,
got
you're right.
it.
You're
You
right.
nailed it.
North of Albany.
Even Jeff doesn't get that right. He said South of Albany.
I don't know where the
3
hell
or
I
4
am.
times on this trip so far.
I'm terrible with that too. But that's how it's happened.
Yeah.
Where it just all feeds on itself.
Yeah.
So that's why when people are like, oh, it's like the 80s, there's going to be another boom and bust. No. 80s was artificially inflated for a bunch of reasons, but it was one show.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that show was canceled.
Yeah.
And then the bust happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's its own standalone genre. Now you have people who are like, you know what? I don't even want a sitcom. Like Gary Goldman. Do you guys know Gary Goldman?
I know. Yep.
And again, now he's going to see us and be like, dude, of course I want a sitcom. But my point is, like, there's a lot of Louis C.K., and I know, you know,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
the greatest
yeah,
ending,
yeah.
but he literally was like, you know what? I'm just going to do stand-up. And then that eventually translated into the shows.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that
Right.
wasn't like that. Like Tim Allen, no one would know who he was without
Yeah.
Home Improvement.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you brought up Tom Segura like that because you literally explained how I became a fan of Tom Segura. My friend posted a clip on Facebook, and I was like, who is this person? And started watching it, and now I've seen all of his specials, you know? And that's what's really neat about that. And I think what's cool about, like, this whole Netflix ideal of being like, we're going to push out 52 a year or whatever, I'm, as a lover of stand-up comedy, and I've loved stand-up comedy since I was a kid, I love being able to see new people I've never heard about. Because I'll click on, I don't care what it is, my wife and I will be like, you know, like a new one will pop up on Netflix, watching that, you know, and giving it a shot, because it's like, for so long it was like, okay, I can see a new Patton Oswalt or a new Dave Chappelle or whatever, and I know they're going to be great because I'm already a fan of them. But these people that I'm discovering is so cool.
Yeah, and I think, other than you, I think for most people that is a reasonably new phenomenon.
Yeah,
that's only been about 12 to 18 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
There are towns that for 50 years have had one or two stand-up. A place like Phoenix or something like that, San Antonio, that could support two clubs, and one of them was always on the verge of going out of business.
Yeah, right.
A lot of these towns now have 4 clubs.
Wow.
All raging and buying bigger rooms, and, you know, improvs now. You know, they used to, like, get some crappy corner in the mall 10, 15 years ago.
Yep.
Sorry, Judy. Now they're spending, like, $3 to $6 million building a new improv.
Wow.
Like, and they're doing great. So
yeah,
I don't think it's a boom. I think, listen, there are years where horror films are more popular than others.
That's true.
It'll be like that.
Yeah.
It'll be up and down, you know, depending on who's doing what.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a concern of the comedy special getting watered down just because there's so many comedy specials out there? There's so many streaming services hopping on the comedy bandwagon that, you know, people, I mean, it's almost like the Netflix hole. You go on to Netflix, you don't know what to watch because there's everything available.
I don't think so, because again, it's just like horror films. Like, I don't know if you've seen the trailer for this movie called The Nun.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you've probably heard that YouTube took it down because people were getting too scared.
Too
Really? I
scared.
didn't
Yeah,
know that.
I
Yeah.
heard that. Yeah.
I
Really?
heard that. Dude, I heard it before I saw it. It's scary.
It's scary.
It's scary. Like, I saw it before Crazy Rich Asians, and I mean, the whole audience jumped at the end.
Oh, my
I mean,
God.
literally 300 people like, oh.
Oh my God.
It was scary. But I guarantee you, 50 other horror movies are coming out this year
Right.
that
Yeah.
you never heard of.
Right.
Doesn't hurt The Nun. Doesn't
Yeah.
hurt the
Right.
what's the one where they kill the people? You kill one person a year.
The
one night.
Purge?
The Purge.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt The Purge.
Yeah.
So
You're right.
Yeah, it'll be the same thing with stand-up. That for whatever reason, the stuff that's cool and people like floats up.
Yep.
And the stuff that doesn't.
Yeah.
It's a genre now.
Do you think there's a creative take on the comedy special that hasn't been done yet?
Oh, I'm gonna get in trouble with this.
I ask all the good questions.
Yeah. Well, for you, maybe. Not for me. Here's my take, and I've really thought about this a lot, and I've been doing this for 20 years.
Yep.
I've seen a lot, so this could come off as me being lazy. But this is a thorough analysis of what I've done, but also what I've seen other people do, and it not work. You don't want to see gimmicks. You're a stand-up fan?
Right.
I don't want to see Tom Segura come out on a tricycle with
Nope.
robots telling jokes. Like,
Though Tom Segura on a tricycle, but I get what you're getting at.
you know what I'm saying? It's
yeah.
like, well, it's true. It's Big Bike's joke.
Yeah,
bad example.
might be good. That might
bad
be good.
example. But no, it's like you don't. You just tell the jokes.
Yeah.
It's like tell the jokes.
Yeah.
It's like it's like, have you ever driven like one of those or seen one of those Indy 500 cars up close?
Yeah.
It's an engine.
Yeah, and it's
With
a
some
shell.
aluminum rods
Yeah,
and a
that's-
plastic thing.
That's it. A
Plastic
seat.
shell with stickers
Yeah,
on
a
it.
seat,
Yeah.
and that's it.
That's what you need that to be.
Yeah.
And I always feel like with stand-up, it's like, it's about the jokes. It's about the delivery. It's about the persona. Like, you don't need, like, hey, for the first time ever, underwater stand-up It's like,
Oh no.
you know, like, that's just, all it does is take away from the jokes.
Yeah.
That is my opinion. I could definitely be wrong, but I've seen lots of people try. I've never, ever seen it catch on. Not
Yeah.
once. I've never seen anything like that get a second season. But listen, I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I agree with that because, you know, even to the point of, like, there are some comedy specials specifically where the comedian will try to do some sort of cinematic thing to draw you in the beginning. You know, like you're on a journey to the stage with them, or or some sort of joke that they're about to tell within their set is being played out in front of you before you actually get to the set. And sometimes that works, but a lot of times I'm just sitting there being like, make with the funny, you know, like it's what I want. That's why I clicked on this. I want the jokes to come at me and like.
And that's now, luckily, really becoming the norm.
Yeah.
Those big, by the way, there's one big exception to this. was Tracy Morgan's special.
Oh my God! Yes.
That opening.
Oh my God!
I've sometimes watched that opening without watching the stand-up. That
So
makes me
good.
laugh so hard.
That's. I mean, there are some that really
Oh my
it works
God.
well.
He's
Yeah.
handing out the money from the Walmart bag.
So
God,
freaking
that makes
funny.
me- And we did not do that once, so that is not me.
You're not patting yourself on the back.
No. That just made me laugh every time I see
that's so
that.
good. That's so good. What I mean, I know you probably have a ton in the works. What are can we talk about any of upcoming comedy specials that have been announced at least?
Well, I mean, I can pretty much talk about anything we've shot. It is a public medium.
It's true. It's
there
true.
are a lot of people there witnessing what we're doing.
Right.
We just shot Chris Porter's new special. Do you know Chris Porter?
Yep.
Why isn't this guy bigger?
I know, he's very funny.
I don't understand
I've
it.
seen him on YouTube. It's really funny.
It's brilliant. We shot Alice Wunderland. We are do you know her?
No, I don't think so.
She was on Silicon Valley.
Okay.
She's great. Absolutely brilliant special. We just did Finesse Mitchell, which is going to... can't say with that. That I can't say.
Okay.
Can't say where that's going.
Okay.
Our model's a little unusual in that we shoot it ourselves, and then we sell it later.
Interesting.
Most companies get hired to go make something for Netflix or make it for Showtime.
Right.
Like we do what we want and hope other people like it. They usually do, but not always.
Is there a reason for that?
That's a great question. That's not. It's funny, man. No one asked that. No one asked that question. The reason is there's many reasons, or not many, but there's several reasons. One of the reasons is when we first started doing this almost 10 years ago, we had no choice. Nobody would hire us.
Right.
So we just had to do what we were doing and pray to God it worked.
DIY, get it done.
Right.
Yeah. So we kept doing that, and people thought we were crazy. I mean, people thought it was a crazy, these things are 6 figures a pop. So people were like, Then people were like, oh, they made 20, they sold 20, and it just started to become a thing where we were good at it, and we weren't falling off the cliff like everybody predicted.
Yeah.
And then it was like, well, it's working. We don't have to deal with a lot of the BS you deal with to sell stuff or to get stuff greenlit. So then it was like, well, why don't we just make them ourselves? We own them, by the way, because we only license them when we do it this way.
Right.
If you're hired to do something, you make profit on that job, but then you're out.
Yep.
This way, we make it, we'll license it to another one of those companies for 2 to 5 years or something, but then it comes back to us, and then we keep making money on it. They don't. And the artists too, by the way.
Yeah.
So, so that's probably a big part of it too.
Yeah.
But it started out of just we had no choice. It was just sheer desperation. Wow. Nick DiPaolo, that was the first one.
Wow.
Yeah, those cameras were bought to do Nick's special.
Wow. That's incredible. A question I've always had actually about comedy specials, and from the producer side of it, and you guys are saying that you are shooting it yourselves and then shopping it. Does location come into play? Is that from the comedian being like, I want to have my special here, or is that kind of do you kind of help them along with that idea?
So there's we could break it down by risk.
Okay.
So if there's an artist who's selling 8,000 to 20,000 tickets a night, they tell me where we're shooting.
Right.
If there's someone selling 1,000 to 3,000 tickets a night, we have a discussion.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're going to do what they want.
Right.
If there's an artist like Tom Segura or Ali Wong that when we do their first special, they can't sell a lot of tickets, to put it nicely. Right. They'll be the first to tell you about it.
Right. Oh, yeah. They're up and coming. Yeah.
Then we have a much bigger say in where we shoot. There's a bunch of cities, Denver, Minneapolis, Chicago, and Seattle in particular, that we love shooting in because we love the cities in terms of the audiences that those cities have. But also, we know certain venues that, they're gorgeous, but they don't have crazy fees. Like there's certain venues that are gorgeous and you got to pay $10,000 or more just to be in there.
Yeah.
And that doesn't help the audience. It delays profitability. And then you'll have literally 6 blocks away something equally beautiful, if not more beautiful. And just for a variety of reasons, they don't charge that.
Wow.
So we have a bunch of venues we shoot in frequently.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And if we're doing our job correctly, you'll never be able to tell. Not never. That's not true. If you watch these things over and over again, of course you can tell.
Right. No, I've always wondered that because, like, sometimes, you see comedians, like, show up in, their hometown or, like, like their favorite club or something like that. But then, like, a lot of times it's comedians, like, in a random place. And I always wonder if that was their decision or not.
And many times it is. But, one of the things you say to the artist is, I was a manager. I was a manager for like 10 years. Mm-hmm. So of only comedians. Yeah. And, one of the things is you have to make comedians feel safe so that they can get up on stage
and do it
and be confident and do their thing. So the key is when you have the conversations in this room or during pre-production on a special where, you need to talk to them in a certain way where they feel like they're in charge because they need to feel like they're in charge. They need to be in charge. They should be in charge. But you also guide them to not go to a venue that is $50,000 more that night than literally the place across the street. Right. Cleveland's a great example of this, by the way.
Really?
Cleveland has this street of theaters. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, this one's $80,000 just to turn the lights on. This is $500 just to turn the lights on. Wow. Both of them, 120-year-old venues, Gothic, gorgeous, whatever, architecture.
Yeah.
But just different politics, different rules.
Wow.
So you try to guide, and you're really partners with the artists. Yeah. So you talk to them as a partner, and 99.9% of comedians are some degree of, maybe not 0.9, 99. Yeah, so every 100 comedians, 99 are cool. One's not. So, and you just, they know you're a partner. So you act as partners and you make the decision together.
Wow.
Yeah.
And at this point with Comedy Dynamics, after it's been, churning out this incredible stuff for over a decade now, 20 years? 10 years.
It'll be 10 years in November.
10 years. So at this point in the game, are you contacted by comedians to make their specials, or are you still actively being like, hey, we want to make a special for you?
It's both.
It's both.
It's both. Like I said, last weekend we shot Chris Porter and we shot Alice.
Yeah.
Alice, everything she's ever done that I've seen her in, she always pops. And that's a big thing for me. Every scene of hers in Silicon Valley, you forget everyone else is in the room. There's a movie... I always screw up the title. It's like Dave and Matt Need Wedding Dates.
Oh, I can't think of the title either.
Zac Efron film.
Yeah. What's funny is that true story happened in Troy. It's two guys from Troy, New York.
Is that right? You guys from Troy?
Well, no, but that's
like
near
right
Albany. Yeah,
I know
yeah.
Troy.
Right
I know
there.
Troy actually.
Yeah.
That's
So,
funny.
so I totally know that movie. Yes.
Yeah. So she's the girl in there who is the in the hot tub, the sauna room.
Yep.
And again, every scene she's in, she dominates.
Right.
You forget everybody else. So when I saw that movie on top of Silicon Valley, I'm like, this is who I bet on because that's what my gut tells me.
Yeah.
She dominates everything she does. That means
she should have a great special, right? Yeah.
So in her case, I call her agents and managers who I've known for at least 7 to 10 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I need Alice. And eventually she was ready to do a deal. We got the deal done. We picked the date, and we shot it this weekend. Chris Porter, similar thing. We had done his first special, and I loved it. And then completely randomly, I mean, as random as it gets, I saw him performing, I think at the end of last year. And I was like, Jesus, this is even better than the last one. So that's how those come together. But then Friday, when I was in Denver, I got a call from one of the biggest, most respected comedians of all time, calling me. It was his agent, saying, hey, man, if you want to make an offer, make an offer. I think the time is right for him to do one, and I know he wants to do it with you guys. And sometimes on that phone call, you work out the whole deal.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't, and you just fire away blind, and you pray to God you're not too low. The worst thing you could hear is an agent responds to your offer with, all right, so I'm not negotiating the price, but, because that means we came in too high. So that's the worst thing to hear.
Oh, man.
And it's also bad to hear, get out of here. This is offensive. That doesn't happen. I usually overshoot rather than undershoot. Don't tell the CFO. But it all works out. It all works out.
Oh my God! Do you still actively go and to live comedy to look for people?
In Denver? No. Oh, absolutely not.
No scouting.
And by the way,
no, you're not scouting.
Remove the word still. I never did that.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Never.
Okay.
Ever did that.
Is it why you seem to have big blocks for that? Is there a reason, or you just?
The reason is this. Like I told you, I used to be a manager.
Yeah.
And when I was a manager, I would have clients that 1 year, let's say 2004.
Okay.
I'd have a client in 2004. He would go to Austin, Texas. He would sell 200 tickets.
Uh-huh.
Then 2005, he would go to Austin, Texas. He would sell 3,000 tickets. Then he'd go back 2006. He'd sell 9,000 tickets. Then I'd call people at the networks and be like, you guys, you got to give him a half-hour special. You got to give him an hour special. And they would say no. And it always was crazy to me that I'd be like, look at this data.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not lying.
Yeah.
Like, he sold 200 tickets 3 years ago, and now he's selling 9,000. Who cares what you think?
Right.
Like, dude, look at these numbers.
Yeah.
And it never mattered.
Huh.
So I resolved that if I was ever in a position where I was making the choices, I would respect my gut. Like I told you the story about Alice.
Yep.
I told you the story about Chris Porter.
Yep.
But I wouldn't be dominated. I am proud to tell you, I have made specials I didn't find the people funny. Like, that's not my job. I'm not a gatekeeper to America.
Right.
If there's a comedian that's doing great, and obviously people in our country like this comedian, who am I to say he or she doesn't make me laugh? Like,
Right.
that's not my job. By the way, it's also a great way to lose money and to
Yes.
lose a lot of opportunity. There are networks focused on comedy that missed everybody.
Yes.
They missed Kevin Hart. They missed Bill Burr. They make fun of them all you want, but they missed Dane Cook. Like, how can you be in the comedy business and miss all these people?
Right.
So that's how we don't miss people, is we go, sometimes I go with my gut,
Yeah.
but many times I go with just the data. So to your question, to your point,
Yeah.
it's about, there's a fair amount of agents and managers that we do a lot of business with.
Mm-hmm.
So if they are calling me about someone I've never heard of, for them to sign that client and spend years getting that client to be a huge artist,
Right.
that tells me this person's great.
Right.
So it's like a refer. It's like the Google algorithm works, where it's like when you Google something, the first thing that comes up
It's usually the thing you're looking for.
Well, it's usually like if you Google Tom Cruise.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, weird example, but that's what I came up with. The first thing about Tom Cruise will be the article that has the most things connected to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's how the Google algorithm works.
Yeah.
So that's sort of how we do it, but we do it with agents and managers who we trust, where especially, by the way, if an agent who I trust and a manager who I trust are both together working on the same artist, we've never failed. We've never backed anyone like that who didn't blow up and become very successful, or at the very least, extremely respected.
So you keep your bias and opinion separated from your business.
Absolutely.
That's smart.
Yeah. Yes. And sometimes, like I said, no one called me about Alice. That was all me
Right.
watching the pattern of someone dominating no matter what she did,
Yeah.
and going with my gut.
Yeah.
But like I said, weekly we receive phone calls of people literally might not laugh once in 10 specials they do.
Right.
But America loves them. They're an artist. They have their own thing. And just because it's not for me doesn't mean it's not for everybody else. So, yeah, we do both.
Yeah, well, I mean, go with your gut, especially when you're going and watching comedy specials that are produced by Comedy Dynamics. Because,
You're very kind.
well, I mean, I devour all of them. Finally, I have to ask, because it's been the elephant in the room the entire time.
Ooh.
What's the story behind the sign?
Oh, well.
Where'd you get it?
Yeah, man, it's sad.
It's super sad, but it's great that you have such a piece of history.
It's so funny. As someone with 3 children and an amazing wife, I always feel so stupid saying this, because obviously anything not connected to your family and health, who cares?
Right.
But, I mean, I cannot tell you how depressed it is to me that Toys R Us went out of business.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the most depressing things that's happened in my lifetime.
Yeah.
So, the Toys R Us here in Burbank that I've been going to for 16 years in October, like everybody else, was going out of business. So I went to the liquidator and I was like, hey, I'd like to buy that sign. I actually went to every Toys R Us that I go to and filled out the paperwork to get this sign.
Oh, wow.
And nobody called, nobody nothing, no emails or anything. And I finally found the name of this woman who was the liquidator for the Burbank one, got her name, found out when she would be there. And yeah, I was there. I was like, I want it. And not only did I get this in my home office, I can't even believe I got this. I went to pick this up, and then sitting on a table of stuff they were selling, which was like staplers and tape dispensers and just Post-its from the back office, was 2 of those old school credit card machines.
Yeah, I was just thinking about those the other day.
Gone for $5 each.
Yeah.
By the way, I would have paid 10 times what this cost. No. I was psychological. What do you think this cost? Well, now I said that I screwed it up, but
a few $100.
Yeah.
A few hundred.
Yeah.
I was good. I was psychologically prepared to go to 1,000.
I would have. Yeah.
$100.
What? That's amazing.
Yeah. But by the way, best part is I get there and so you get it, you reserve it, you get a receipt, and then you have to go back on the last day. So I went to last day and I'm like, hey, I got my thing. She's like, all right, this is yours. And I'm like, well, I can't take that down.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, read the receipt. You have to bring your own tools.
Oh, my God.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was very lucky. A friend of mine had a truck and tools. I'm not the most handy. I used to be very handy. I'm not too handy anymore.
Well, I'm glad that a piece like this is in the hands of a collector like yourself.
And just, it's not sitting here like this because this is where it's going to be.
Right.
We're getting it nicely framed and then it's going to be put up. Yeah. So this is just temporary.
That's so great. And from the collector side of it too, like I said at the beginning of the show, we're so excited for the new season and hopefully subsequent seasons of the Toys That Made Us. Is there at this moment, is there a release date for season 3 yet? We have not announced that.
It could be Q4 or Q1.
Okay.
Like it should be before April, but there's a chance it could be December. There's a chance it could be February. Netflix is just wonderful on so many levels. But one of the things which is great about them is as long as you don't go over budget, they just kind of cool to get it right. They just leave you to do your thing.
Smart.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I want it to be right. Yeah.
Excellent.
I'd love to not up our bad reviews. Even if we get a second bad review, that's doubling our bad reviews.
It's true. It's true.
So, yeah, so we're going to put the time and love into it.
Excellent. Well, I can't wait. And when it is announced for that release date, we'll obviously be talking about it at Deathwish.
Thank you. And on behalf of the whole crew and the whole show and the whole company, your support, thank you so much for it. We appreciate it very much.
Well,
Excellent.
Brian, thank you for having us here. It was very generous of you to invite us into your space, to invite you into our podcast.
Yeah, thrilled that you came and you wanted to.
Yeah, man, this was great, and we really appreciate it, man.
Welcome back to the show.
When we came out and talked with you at your studio, you did allude to a really cool project that you couldn't talk about at that exact moment.
I also remember things being covered up on the wall with Post-it notes.
Yep.
That's right.
And it's finally been announced, Discontinued. Actually, as this episode is airing of Fueled by Deathcast, your Discontinued is out on CW, and that's so cool. I am so excited about this show. Like, I mean, obviously we love everything that you've done with the Toys That Made Us. What an incredible idea that is. And this just kind of is piggybacking on that nostalgia bomb. Like, did you have this idea going when you were doing toys, or were they two separate kind of ideas, or how did that come to be?
I actually had this idea long before toys.
Oh.
And if I hopefully remember correctly what I told you, toys was my, whenever I develop a show and I can't sell it, I call it a broken arrow. Uh-huh. And toys was one of two, actually I had 3 broken arrows. One was toys, one was the show we're doing with History Channel, all about President Grant, and this was the third one. So Yeah, so this predates toys by years, like 3 or 4 years. But, one of the things about selling a TV show is, I always say it's like the odds of selling a show in the 2 to 5 weeks of trying to sell a specific show is very low.
Yeah.
So you just got to keep pitching over and over and over again until the timing works out. But I think part of the reason timing worked out in 2018 and not in 2014 or 2015 or whatever is partially because, as you know, nostalgia is a big deal now, and it wasn't that big a deal 5 years ago. But also the success of Toys That Made Us. I was having lunch with an executive from the CW who I have lunch with for years, 2 or 3 times a year. And, he was going on and on and on about Toys That Made Us and was like, do you have anything else like that we could do? And that's what led to this show getting greenlit at the CW. So even though this came first, I think it was very helped along by its ancestor, the Toys That Made Us.
That's awesome. Now, I mean, going down, discontinued food, toys, businesses, that kind of stuff. Obviously, there's ones that jump to my mind immediately, like Blockbuster Video or Crystal Pepsi or something like that. But, can you talk about any of the ones that maybe were surprising to you? Anything that is in store for us without giving too much away? Anything that's in store for us on the show?
Well, I mean, to a certain extent, and it's funny. One of the pods we're doing is Blockbuster. One of the things similar to toys is all of these things that we dug into. It's never, just using Blockbuster as the example. If you ask 100 people on the street, hey, why did Blockbuster go bankrupt? I bet you 95 say, oh, because of Netflix. Netflix definitely played a part in it, but it wasn't just Netflix. There was a lot of things that Blockbuster had done and mistakes they had made in addition to Netflix. So what I learned from making this show was very often the thing that we think is the thing that chops the head off of a company is usually the straw that breaks the camel's back. Right. It's rarely the thing that actually killed them. So that is probably the main lesson that I learned with this show versus some of the other things we've done. But yeah, it's always people are always fascinated by origin stories, and I am too. But I have also always been fascinated by early demise stories or demise stories. I've always been interested in, okay, I understand why it happened, but why? What led to it not existing anymore? And that's really what the show is about. But also similar to Toys That Made Us, we tried to do it in a way with humor and comedy, so it doesn't feel like you're going to business school. You're actually enjoying yourself.
So, everybody talks about the secrets to success. Do you think that you may have discovered the secrets to failure?
I mean, I know the secret to failure, I'm not even trying to be funny. I know the secret to failure because I've been reading about businesses and people. All I read is nonfiction, probably since the 6th grade. Not all, but 99% of what I read is about people and companies. And the true unifying factor of failure, there's little things here and there that add up. But the number one thing that leads to a company failing, or even to a certain extent a human being's career failing or whatever, is becoming complacent. The minute a company stops worrying about going out of business, I would argue is the first step towards going out of business. So that is the unifying. You can't get cocky. Part of the reason Disney is more powerful than ever, and Fox is going to be gone in a couple weeks, is really because Disney is a paranoid company that sweats nickels. Yeah. And they were like that 50 years ago, and they're like that now. And first of all, I'm a shareholder of Disney stock, and I worship. I've studied that company, and I don't mean that as an insult at all. Like, if you're to invest your hard-earned money in buying into a company, you want them to be paranoid about their survival. You want them to sweat nickels. So and all the things we follow to a certain extent have that in common.
So do you think you've been able to take what you've learned from making the show and applied that to your own business to try to avoid these pitfalls that you regularly find throughout all these companies?
I think the opposite is the case, actually, where because I am so interested in failure, it's what led to my interest in doing a show like this. Because this show is kind of about failure, if you think about it.
Yeah.
So again, it's always, I read this book. I don't know the name about it, but I swear to God, I read this book, every page, every word, didn't skip a chapter. And the book, I swear to God, the book's about 400 pages long, and I think was about $80 to buy, because it's one of these books that gets published for like less than 2,000 people. And about 8 years ago, I was getting a tour from a friend of mine's husband, who's a scientist at Goddard, the NASA facility in Virginia. And he told me about this book called, and I don't remember the exact name of the book, but it's something like, this book is a list and description of every rocket launch failure for the last 50 years. And that's what the book is. Wow. It's literally a book that every chapter, and every chapter is like less than 3 pages. It's a chapter of like 1958, Russia, blah, blah, blah. The fuel line broke and ignited the chamber. I read that book every page. Wow. So for some reason, I find the topic of failure interesting. But it's hard to sell a show about that. So this show, Discontinued, it's a pop culture show, it's a nostalgia show, but it's a deep dive into why did things that everybody knows about suddenly disappear. Yeah. And we did it in a fun way. One of the major inspirations is one of my favorite shows in the history of shows, Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yes.
So I use that sort of as a jumping off point. I'm curious when you see the show if you can see it or not, but I was definitely inspired. I've always wanted to do something like it, so that's what we did here.
That's awesome. I'm such a huge Mystery Science Theater fan, so I'm looking forward to that, to finding those little nuances. I did laugh. You were saying, it's hard to sell a show about failures, and I did laugh at like the early news blurbs about the show coming out, like from Variety or Hollywood Reporter or whatever, the headline would read like Discontinued CW, and it's like, oh no, CW has been discontinued.
Oh my God. If you had that thought, I bet they're getting a lot of stuff about that. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's really funny.
but it's going to be so exciting. So the show premieres December 16th this year. Is it going to run a full season? Is it just a pilot season? How many episodes do we have coming?
It's a backdoor pilot, and the best example I can give you of that is the Battlestar Galactica reboot. So it's the same premise. If it does well, they're going to order more. If it doesn't do well, they're not. So it's very simple. And it's 9:30 p.m.
Yes.
So this is not like the Netflix, Hulu, Amazon of it all. You got to watch when it's on, or TiVo it or something. I don't know if TiVo exists anymore. Maybe that's a future season of Discontinued. But you have to watch it when it's on. It's not streamed.
This has been Fueled by Deathcast, a Death Wish Coffee Company podcast production. Thanks for listening.